Feminine Mistake Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nicole, and today I'm joined by
Hillary,
Sarah,
and our special guest today, our very first guest of 2018. I almost said 2013.
Whoa,
that is a long time ago.
We have
That's not right.
we have actor model Jackie Costello joining us today.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi.
Yes. Very excited to have you on the show.
I am excited to be here. Thank you so much for asking me.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
acted in a bunch of our stuff.
That's
so.
true. Yeah. So this is our first episode of the rebooted, collagen injected,
Butt lifted.
Feminine Mistake Podcast
Love
with our
it.
new format. So we'll be doing tonight. We're going to be talking about I, Tonya, which came out officially in 2017. Right?
Yeah,
Yes,
because
the very
it's-
end.
Yeah,
Very end of
very
2017.
For
So-
the Oscars.
Right. Just get it in there. So we're gonna be talking about I, Tonya tonight, and we're gonna be breaking up this conversation over 3 parts. So before we get into talking about the film, I guess let's talk about anything you had, any conceptions you had about the film going into it, or even about Tonya Harding, because I think we all had some
Yes,
thoughts
the story
about
Yeah.
Tonya Harding going into this film. So let's start with Sarah.
Okay, so the first time I heard about this film was when Nicole and Hillary came to me and said, "Let's do this film."
Yes.
It was the very first time I heard about it. It's as far as Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan go, I was just I was 6 when the incident took place. So I
The
don't
incident.
think, yeah.
I love that.
To call it that from now on.
Yes.
So I don't remember actually learning about it at the time. I might have learned about it when I was like 10 or 12 or something like that. And I just remember learning that it was Tonya Harding who did it. So I thought that it was Tonya Harding who actually whacked her knees.
So you would have been like in that sort of dream sequence they had where she was like had the blood
Yeah.
all over her
Yeah.
face.
Yeah.
That was your
Yeah.
image of this
Yeah.
That was
of the
beautiful.
incident.
yeah. And
Yeah,
so
that was
that was the only information I was provided with. So
Okay, all right. And you watch figure skating.
I do
Yeah.
every Olympics. I probably watched Tonya Harding in that Olympics. I just forget.
Because you were
Right.
too young.
Yeah.
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 Hillary.
I don't remember this actually happening.
Yeah.
I was overseas, not too young to remember. Just
You were overseas. Wait,
Yeah,
what? I don't
I was
remember
just living
this.
overseas in a convent.
Oh, right, because Hillary's actually 52.
I am. I'm 52 years old.
I
see.
it's
So you
not-
were.
It's not that I was too young to
This
remember.
is when
the
you were in the
incident.
nunnery.
Mhm.
Right.
I was in a
You got
convent
thee to a
overseas.
nunnery.
Mhm. So,
Yeah.
yes, I
Yep.
got thee to a
Got-
nunnery.
Yeah.
Quickly, I had gotten mixed up with the wrong type.
Right.
Can't
Had
wait to
get
hear
thee
more
a
about
nunnery.
that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
different podcast. But I just knew her as the joke, and like that's what she talks about at the end of the film is
Yeah.
like that she was loved then hated then a punchline, and like I
Right.
knew her as the punchline.
Okay.
Fair
enough.
But I always thought it was Jeff Gillooly.
Galooly.
Gillooly. I've always said Goolily because it sounded like better and more.
Well, it's
comedic
both
in my
sound
mind.
gross.
Goolily.
It sounds like something that gets caught in your throat.
Yeah, either way, it sounds terrible.
Yeah. All right,
That's what I knew.
Jackie.
Well, I do remember this very clearly.
yeah, I do too. Yeah.
I watched that Olympics. I remember the costumes that Nancy
Yep.
Kerrigan wore, the cream-colored outfit.
Oh
I
yes,
remember
the angel in white. Yes.
Exactly. I remember Katarina Witt also being a big competitor
Yeah,
at the
and
time.
Oksana Bayul,
was
she
just
was
making her debut.
incredible.
Oh, I remember her
Yeah.
actually. I know her name.
Yeah, I remember, and my mom and I, like, we followed it very I mean, it was
Yeah.
all the buzz at
Oh my
the
God,
time.
it was huge.
I mean, even before the incident, like, everybody was talking about the showdown between Tonya Harding and Nancy
Yeah.
Kerrigan.
Mhm.
That's all you could hear about
Yeah.
during that time. And I feel like nowadays, like, I feel like figure skating's a big deal, but I feel like back then, it was
a whole nother level.
It
We
really
didn't have
was.
reality
Yeah.
TV yet, though.
It's true. We
needed
didn't have the
something to
internet.
watch.
We
Right.
didn't have the internet.
That,
needed
and that
to
goes,
pit
it's a huge
our-
thing.
I mean, some
Yeah.
people had the
Best of
internet,
our
but it was,
best.
you know,
Yeah. We had
not
to pit
really
our
a
best of our
mainstream
best
thing.
against each other, though.
But I
Yes.
do remember Tonya Harding, like my impression of her at the time was that she was very athletic. She was not graceful.
Okay.
She lacked the ballerina-ish quality that a lot of figure skaters tend to have, that Nancy Kerrigan had. Nancy
Yeah.
Kerrigan had the grace and everything like that. But
She was, yeah, well, I'll wait. But yeah, I guess I'll just echo that sentiment that she was like, there was something like tough and like, I don't want to say dirty, but like,
Yeah.
rough and tough about her. And like, she didn't fit in with the sort of Disney princess
Not at all. She was rough
atmosphere.
around the edges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she had like the hair that was kind of bleached and like the roots were growing out and was like frizzy. And like, she just had that sort of like, blue collar America kind of thing going on.
She really did.
Yeah.
But I never thought, even when it happened, I never thought she did it. I did think it was Lula, whatever the heck his name is. But I never, I think she knew something was going on, but I never really thought that she did it. I really didn't.
And I don't know that the film, I mean, I think the film kind of takes a perspective on that, and we'll get to that. But
we'll get to
don't
that.
think we ever even get that answer.
I don't think we get
clearly.
the answer. I think the
No.
film takes a perspective, but I don't think you're supposed to take it seriously.
Right.
Correct. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
I too let's see, this was happening in the 90s. I was like, I was in like middle school when this happened. So, and my family is not a big Olympics family, so we don't usually watch the Olympics, but we absolutely watched this Olympics. Like, I remember watching it. I remember her putting her leg up on the you know, and
panel.
showing the judges her laces. Like, I remember that whole thing. And there was no internet. Like, now, like, God, that would have been everywhere. But it still was. It was like all the tabloids, all the news. It was just like constant.
Yeah.
And that video of Nancy Kerrigan, saying why over and over and over again, like, it was just everywhere. And I don't think I really had too much of a thought on like who did it or who didn't do it, because seemed pretty clear. They came out pretty clearly and said it was these other guys, but there was always some kind of shadow of how much did she know, how involved was she, and because she had that rough around the edges persona, like, it was easy to make her the bad guy.
Yeah,
it was
easily,
easy
yeah.
to point at her and go, she's the ugly monster, and Nancy Kerrigan is the beautiful princess that's being hurt by the ugly monster. And it was easy to make her a joke. And I wish I could say that I had more sympathy for her at the time, but I probably just had that same mob mentality that everybody else did when I was 12 or 13, when I was like, Tonya Harding is so, so gross. Like, I probably did have that
I agree with
feeling.
that.
I remember like thinking that in my household, like as I like grew up, like, hey, Tonya Harding is like, she did it. It was like sort of the sentiment around me. But like as I got older, I was like,
It was the
pretty sure it
ultimate
was
in
Jeff
not
Gluly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the ultimate in bad sportsmanship, the
really
ultimate in
was.
not playing fair.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. We can get into this later.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
I don't think she's capable of the bad sportsmanship because she loved the game.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
definitely
She loves
think
the game so much.
yeah. And I think we should definitely get into that.
But I do remember too when she started the boxing thing, when she started boxing afterwards, and it was kind of like, well, what else do you expect her to do?
Yeah.
Kind of mentality.
Exactly.
I
like-
wasn't. I mean, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but I wasn't aware that they had. I guess, like most Americans, I kind of stopped paying attention after the Olympics.
Yeah.
I was not aware that they kicked her out and that she was
Oh,
not
I
able to
remember
do
Yeah.
skating anymore. Like,
I
that's
remember
like
that.
a life sentence,
Yeah.
basically.
Right.
you
That's
know?
one of the few things I knew about it.
Yeah, that's one of the
So-
few things I knew about it too.
Which we can talk about this later,
Yeah.
but I just think I will always think it's interesting. And I remember my mom talking about it at the time, but why they let her compete in the Olympics and then kicked her out immediately afterwards.
Because they wanted the eyeballs.
Exactly.
They wanted the eyeballs.
Exactly.
But that's
And
what
that's
she
what
says
they
in
got.
the film too.
She
is
does,
she said,
absolutely, yeah.
why would CBS not let this happen?
Yeah, it was ratings galore at the time. Yeah,
Yep.
no, I know.
I mean,
I
my
know.
family wouldn't have been watching.
No.
Yep.
I mean, not even just to watch Nancy Kerrigan. It's like we were there to watch Tonya Harding.
Exactly. Nobody
you know?
wanted to watch like Nancy Kerrigan. She was this beautiful little beauty queen. Like,
Yeah.
who wants to watch that? We see it every day, but
Yeah,
we want to
no.
see Tonya Harding,
wanna
the girl
see
who might have
Tonya
bashed
Harding.
her knee in.
Yeah.
What's she gonna do?
You know?
Is she gonna win?
Yeah.
Is she gonna
Is
go
she gonna
ape
go
shit?
nuts on the
Axel,
ice?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is she
Yeah.
gonna do?
We want to know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, so that's our thoughts on the movie prior to watching it for the podcast. So let's get into talking about I, Tonya.
The house is a mess, Jack. The kids are a mess, Jack. You're a mess, Jack.
You have been a total bitch ever since you came to New York.
You seem sort of distant.
Let's just do it, man.
You look stupid and rich. Stupid and rich.
Fascist.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so we're ready. So now we're going to talk about I, Tonya. You may have noticed, listeners, if you've been a fan of the show, that the music is different. So we've got a brand new theme song. We've got it's sort of a mix of our Lady Bits theme and the movie clip sound bites you're used to, but remixed by Braxton. So thank you, Braxton, for remixing our theme song to get us into the vicinity. Yes, we love it. So I hope you guys love it as much as we do. Okay, so I, Tonya, starring Margot Robbie and Allison Janney. And admittedly a bunch of other people whose names I don't know offhand, but everyone in this movie was fucking great.
They really were.
Yeah. So good.
So well cast.
Yeah.
So well
so
cast.
good.
Especially when they paired it in the credits with the people who were actually
I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
When I saw her mom and she had the fucking bird, I thought
I thought
sure
that was a joke.
bird was invented for this film.
I thought so too.
It was not.
No,
that was some real shit.
By the way, that's what I will be going as for Halloween, everyone.
You should.
Sorry.
That's
Harding's mother.
perfect costume
I'll
for
start
you.
smoking again for it too, but only if they legalize cloves again. Because
Wait, cloves are illegal?
I didn't know that.
What?
Thanks, Obama.
What?
Literally, Obama did that to us.
I
you
used to
guys.
smoke cloves.
I know.
College.
Obama got rid of them.
Just for fancy times, though, because they're real hard on the throat. Like, you can feel yourself dying of cancer
It was
did.
just
every time you
There's
inhale.
cinnamon.
pop and
Yeah,
crack. Oh, that pop and crack while you were doing it. It was
And
so
you're like, I know my
festive.
lungs are just turning black right now.
I know, God, but they were so good.
So you think she was smoking cloves? I guess she
Weren't
was.
they?
I
were
thought they were
cloves.
maybe
those
Virginia
long
Slims
blacks.
or something,
No,
but I guess
Virginia
not.
Slims are
I
long
thought
and
they were
white.
Marlboro
They were
Reds.
long black.
Marlboro Reds.
That's what I
Well, the
was-
Marlboro Reds are thick and stubby.
They are. Yeah,
They were long and black.
They very well could have
They
been.
were
Yeah, yeah,
cloves.
yeah.
I thought that was the cloves I used to smoke.
Oh
when they
my
came in
god,
a
that
pack.
I wish I had really thought of that because I feel like that adds a new layer. Like, because can you imagine living in that house and just constantly smelling the smell of clove cigarettes?
Oh my god, it would be
No
horrible.
wonder she had emphysema or
I
whatever
know,
she
no
had.
kidding. She needed an inhaler. She was
Oh,
just literally
God.
breathing in fiberglass.
Just
all day.
disgusting. So something we didn't mention, and we're going to get into our hot fact segment a little bit later, but what I did want to mention that this film was shot in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And Sarah can attest to this. I got very excited when I saw the Golden Buddha restaurant, which is right down the street from my
I know,
house.
it's right,
I was-
Isn't it right down here? I thought it was the one
no,
right here.
I thought that looks like the one that's on Claremont Road.
Oh, okay. I thought
Yeah,
it
yeah.
was the one over here.
I thought it was the one on
Peachtree.
Claremont Road. Listeners, you tweet us and let us know
Let us know if
what
we're
the
right.
truth is. But I'm pretty sure that was Claremont Road.
And did you guys recognize Josh McHale?
Oh yeah, he was in it.
Oh, really?
He was the guy saying, "You suck." He
Yeah,
was
well,
the
that her mom paid.
God.
Yeah.
Also, Hyla Elatar was in it too.
Oh,
Really?
She was the mom who said, "Don't curse."
Don't curse in here.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
my God, you're so right.
Wow.
Oh man, you know, whenever I always try to IMDb movies as I watch them and like
Yeah.
look to see what characters are in it or what
Yeah.
the actors are and everything. And I've IMDb'd the trivia on this one, but I did not look at the cast of characters necessarily.
I get so excited when I watch something that's made in Atlanta and I start actor spotting. Like, I lost my mind when I was watching Stranger Things 2 and I saw Alex Van pop up.
Oh my
I was
God,
like,
I lost it.
that's Alex Van. He just got hit in the face with a squirrel.
I was alone in my apartment.
know that
and
guy.
I was like,
Yeah.
I know him. And I was like, nobody can hear me. But.
So this was shot in Atlanta, and I know we know other people who worked on the crew. I feel like maybe I don't know. I don't want to name names because I don't actually know offhand, but I do remember people talking about it on Facebook that they were working on set on the crew. So yeah, this was made in Georgia.
Georgia.
Okay, so let's go through. Everybody's got a list here of like at least 5 things that happened or characters or something that happened in the movie that they want to talk about or like a theme or something. So let's go around. Let's start with our guest. Give us the first thing that you've got to talk about.
There's so many. I
know.
literally I started thinking about 5 things. I came up with like 20.
I know.
So many things. Okay, I'm just gonna start with one of the most obvious things, but her mother. I'm sorry.
That is number 1 on my list.
like
too.
number 1. Let's just say Allison Janney.
Oh my God.
bow down to her.
Yes.
I want to kiss her feet
Right. Yes.
because talk about commitment to a character.
Oh my God,
she was phenomenal.
so good.
Yeah.
I hope she gets an Oscar for this. I really,
Yeah,
really
yeah,
do.
me
She
too.
deserves
I
it.
really
I
Yeah.
missed
too.
her when she was gone, and I mean she's
Yeah.
an abysmal person.
Yeah.
really
And
is.
when she
But
cut
I
in
missed
and
her.
was like, well, my storyline's disappearing now.
Yeah.
I was like, exactly.
That was
Thank
amazing.
God
Yeah.
you're back.
Yeah, she
Missed
was
you and your bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like you think about some of the other characters she's played in her time, like West Wing, and all the
Yeah.
I
Yes.
think that was the show. She was on,
Mature,
but very mature,
responsible,
yeah, and
someone you can rely on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and cute and stuff. And she was
Yeah.
just ugly and nasty and
Yes.
just mean and terrible.
Like, I know that lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like, I feel like
Yeah.
I've met that lady.
Oh,
I mean,
man, I've not.
I've spent some time in rural Virginia, and I'm pretty sure
Yep.
that I've met that
I've
lady.
met
I
that
think
lady.
my one complaint of this film is that I couldn't believe that could be a real person.
Oh, I
person.
believe
absolutely.
it. I believe it.
In
Yeah.
fact,
I've met
my
her.
husband grew up in rural Virginia, and for example, he cannot stand the show Roseanne because it's too. He's like, why would I want to watch a bunch of poor people who are miserable fighting with each other? He's like, I already lived that life. Like, I don't need to watch that for entertainment. So I feel like it's funny because after we watched this movie, I was like, Chris, you really should watch it. It was really good. But then I was like, this might be too familiar
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
You may not enjoy it. So like, those people for sure exist. It felt very real.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she just. The thing that I liked about what they did with her character is that you hated her, but to a certain extent, you wanted to try, or at least I did. I was trying to like her in a way. I was trying to
Yeah.
find something humanistic
Yeah.
about her
Yeah.
because I wanted her to love Tonya more.
I know.
That was it, and especially
Yeah.
towards the end of the movie where she comes and she talks to her and tries
Yeah.
to say that she's on her side, and then they
Yeah.
find out that there's.
But it made me so mad too.
I knew it though. The minute she walked in, I was
I
like, what is
know.
she here for?
Yeah, exactly. But
What
I
is she
kept
here for?
rooting for some kind of love to
Yeah.
exist, but there wasn't. You
No,
know,
no.
there. I mean, she was just a unbelievably terrible
Yeah.
and almost mentally disturbed. Because in
Yeah.
order for you to be that mean of a person, like, you can't think rationally. You can't have thoughts and feelings the way that normal
Yeah.
people do. Because she had no remorse for the way that she treated her daughter.
But I have to wonder, like, is that her version of love? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that's healthy love, but I feel like in her mind, she's like, I gave everything. I gave
Yeah.
you all my money. I did
Right.
this to you to make you tough.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, this
She
world
says that to her.
sucks. This
Yeah.
world sucks, and I made you tough, and you're a champion because of me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's her, that would be her point of view, I
And
think.
that was one of the things I wrote down as one of my things to talk about was, do you think that Tonya would have become a skater if it hadn't been for mom? And do you think she would have been as successful if her mom hadn't abused her?
Oh, man. Wow, that's a lot.
That's a really good
that's a lot to think about.
question because I feel like she was successful because she was pushed, but at the same time, I think it also destroyed her.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
her blessing and her curse.
And
Yeah.
that's probably why she ended up with Jeff.
Exactly.
it-
Absolutely.
Well, she says that too.
Yeah,
She's
she
like,
said she thought she
that's all I
deserved it.
knew.
It's all
my
she
mother
knew.
hit me,
Yeah.
so why can't my husband hit me?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I
So.
think that people reach that sort of level of achievement, I think, thrive in adversity, or they couldn't make it. Like, you can't make it through all the rejection. I mean, all of the rejection she faced, not just like, she's poor, her dad left her, like all of the things in her life that happened, like, I think that pushes people sometimes, but whether or not it allowed her to succeed, I don't know. I mean, I do think that if she had had a supportive mother sitting in the stands cheering her on, maybe she would have been able to focus more on the sport that she loved so much, and maybe wouldn't have fallen in with those people. I don't know, but also like her whole life, it's like, and again, we're not talking about Tonya Harding the person, because
We're talking
this
about
is
the
a
character.
this is a
Film.
fictional movie that takes a very particular angle on her.
She did consult on this film, though.
Right.
Not her mother, though.
No.
Her mother did not consult on the film.
But I think the movie takes a very now. Granted, I feel like they do offer sympathy to a lot of characters that ordinarily we wouldn't think
Right.
deserve it, like her mother, for
Right.
example. But it definitely takes a sympathetic look at her, a very humanizing, sympathetic look at her. But so we're really just talking about this particular character. I don't know where I was going with that. I got lost in the woods of my thoughts.
I do it frequently.
Somebody, give me a flashlight. I'm lost.
Yeah.
The writer actually intended for us to take our own, have our own take on it, and he claimed that the film does not take a stand, and that
I
was one of the
disagree.
things that I wrote down was,
Yeah.
do you think that the film takes a stand? Because he still claims that he did not, that the film is completely like objective.
Can we talk about that for a second?
Okay.
Let's. We have no
I-
idea how this is going to go. We've never talked
I-
about a film this way.
I
So
do think that the film doesn't take a stance because I think it's very obvious that it's. Let me swallow.
no,
it's-
let's talk about this with Pizza Roll. in our
Yeah,
mouth.
right.
Sponsored by Pizza Rolls.
Kroger brand
wish.
pizza rolls.
I
They're the
wish.
best. Okay, so I don't think this movie takes a stand. because we have a first person narration. And any journalist or any person who does any sort of investigation on something knows that you cannot take one person's view of anything and make it like, say, like, this is the true facts.
Yeah.
So we have a first person narration. And on top of that, Tonya Harding throughout the film says, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. And
a lot of them say that. Not my fault.
She's an unreliable narrator because she refuses to own up to anything. The only thing she ever owns up to is, in the end, my lace breaks. That was kind of my fault, but it wasn't. And that's the only thing that she says. That was kind of my fault, was her lace breaking. And it's the only thing in this film that, like, and truly entirely is not her fault. Like, a lace breaking is not a human being's fault. Like, that sucks. It's an unfortunate circumstance.
It's funny. I had a different takeaway.
Because if you watch it critically, like, I don't know.
I had a different take on it. I really felt like the movie, like she said, it's not my fault. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. And I feel like the movie said that too, to me.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie was constantly saying, look at all these other things in her life.
Yeah.
And I think that it's impossible to really get as intimate a portrayal of a character as they did in this movie without taking a side. Like, I think that like, when you stop and have a scene where, like, they didn't just in the scene at the end in the Olympics, they just didn't have her just go out and have the lace thing happen. They had a moment where she sat and looked into the mirror and wept and tried to smile through tears. And, like, we are meant to sympathize with her above everyone else in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, and I think you have to.
I think you have to. Sympathize with her doesn't mean that I think she didn't do anything wrong. And that's what I mean by taking a stance. I can still feel very sorry for this person who grew up in a terrible way, who had horrible things happen to her, who had terrible circumstances throughout her life. And I can still feel bad for her and still feel awful that, like, the one thing that she loved and was good at and that she did her entire life was taken away from her.
Yeah.
And I feel awful for her.
Yeah.
But I still don't know if she did it or not. And that's what I mean by neutral, is, like, I don't think they took a stance on whether she did it or not.
Well, I mean, I think it was very clear that I think that in terms of the information they gave us, it was very clear that from the movie's point of view, she didn't know what was going on. Yeah. She thought they were sending letters.
But again, you have an unreliable narrator. So, like, if you're watching it, like, they let you know very early on that she's not reliable.
True, but
as a source.
But she's not the only narrator. Yeah. Jeff is a narrator, and so is the teacher.
Either. He keeps saying things are untrue. Like, this part's not true that she's about to tell you. Like, they're all liars.
Correct. And I think one of the movie's sort of themes is what is true and what isn't true, and everybody has their own truth, and she literally says that. Yeah. But I do think that if you look at what the movie shows you in terms of the events, we never see her acting as though she has any indication that she knows that they're going to send some guy to break Nancy Kerrigan's
And also,
knees. We never see that.
Here's something that I picked up on too. So there was a part where she chases Jeff out with a shotgun and fires at him, and then she immediately looks at the camera and says, "This didn't happen." None of the times when Jeff hit her did he ever look at the camera and say, "This didn't happen." So I think
actually
he did.
He did say that. They cut back to the interview and he's like, "I never hit her."
That one, but it cut back to him in an interview saying, "I didn't hit her."
That was, like, early in the movie, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken,
it was.
Yeah.
It's very, very early, but it was different the way that took place. It made me feel like the movie really did take that, like, just for me, just taking it all in, I sympathized with Tonya.
And I think you're supposed to. I think making her seem human is the point of this movie.
I mean, you definitely feel sorry for her throughout the... I mean, it's a funny film, too. Like, they add a lot of comedic humor to this movie.
Very funny, yeah.
So you find yourself laughing at a lot of it. And she's, as she's narrating, she's funny, too. Because, like, when she says, "Oh, we're here for the incident because that's why all of you fucking came, let's face it." You know? And, I mean, I just thought that line was awesome. But, but you do sympathize with her. You do walk out of that movie theater thinking, man, what a horrible life this girl has.
Yeah, what a shitty way to end, like that, to lose for her. I just remember really harping on this, getting kicked out of the skating thing. But it's like those guys got nothing.
18 months.
Nothing.
Yeah, and she even said, give me the jail. I'll do the jail time. I'd rather do that and stay in the Olympics.
Yeah.
But they
or
had
be able to skate.
I mean,
she can't skate in any of those events.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally stripped her of her soul.
They
stripped her
took
of-
the only thing that made her happy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think I kind of agree with you in the sense that, like, it is open to interpretation. And I didn't necessarily walk out of there thinking, yes, she did do it, had something to do with it, blah, 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 blah. I think I already made up my mind about that but prior to walking into
But maybe
the movie.
we all have, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the
Yeah.
point.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I do think that no matter what, you do walk out of that movie with a very sympathetic mindset towards Tonya Harding. And then the other thing I noticed about this was that I kind of forgot about Nancy Kerrigan throughout this movie.
That's the
Yeah,
other
me too.
reason
I really
think
did.
this
I didn't
movie
care about
sides
Nancy
with
Kerrigan.
Tonya is that Nancy Kerrigan is almost a non-character.
She
Like,
really is.
We
Yeah.
barely ever see her face, and I think that that's okay. Like I think this isn't a movie about her. It's not even
Exactly.
a movie about the incident.
It really
No,
isn't.
no,
It's
no.
more
It's about
the
how
light.
unimportant it
it's
is
about
in
her.
the grand scheme of
Right.
Yeah.
a number of shitty things that have
Yeah.
happened in one person's
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, I thought about that afterwards, after the movie. I was like, the parts where Nancy Kerrigan were in it, that were when she was in it. I mean, I would say the total time for that actress was maybe 5 minutes.
Yeah,
If that-
and you barely see her face.
You really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, she
Only
really,
at
and
the
she
very
really doesn't
end.
speak that much either.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was kind of the
But
most
we don't have
you-
any interviews with her either. We never hear her
No.
side.
No, and she's never really said anything about it. I don't think, or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, Christo told me today that she doesn't blame Tonya Harding for it, but she's also like a born again Christian.
Stay away from me,
type.
bitch.
Well, she's more of like a born again Christian
Okay.
type. Like, I forgive her for what she did, kind of thing.
Well, I think Nancy Kerrigan, from what you read in the, she's kind of like this princess but ice princess
Yeah.
at the same time, kind of thing. But,
Yeah.
but I didn't really care that much about the incident. I didn't really care that much
Yeah,
about Nancy
yeah.
Kerrigan in the film.
Yeah.
And they didn't, they didn't make any attempt to make Nancy seem like an adversary or an obstacle, and it was more like, I feel like the obstacle for her was not fitting into the cookie cutter image of the dainty ballerina with the beautiful costumes and the perfect hair, and like Nancy does represent that.
Yeah.
But so do all the other girls that she's
Yeah.
competing with.
Yeah.
It was like her combating an image, so more so than a single person.
And also Jeff. I mean, Jeff is a big
Yeah.
roadblock in her life.
Yeah.
Huge roadblock.
Let's talk about Jeff. I want to talk about I want to talk about Jeff, and I want to talk about the violence in this movie. I really want to dig into that.
Oh.
No. Well, that's a conversation stopper.
I had a comment about the cinematography in terms of the violence. The way it was shot was unlike I've seen in other films. Like it was the way they shot the skating. It was like in on the action, and the way the camera moved around. I don't know. It just was very exciting. I know that sounds like a terrible word, but it was
That's interesting.
It was like thrilling to the way that it took place, but it was also like much more horrible and visceral the way it was shot.
Right.
Yeah, there was no. I think my feeling on the way the violence was portrayed in this movie was that it was so fast. Like everything happened so fast. Because usually when we see violence in films, it's like some kind of slow-mo punch or like almost like that boxing match at the end.
Yeah.
Or
where the
like
violence is like
But it was
glorified
unexpected
and made
at parts.
pretty. Yeah.
It was just like all of a sudden he just
It's like,
punched her in the
holy
nose.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it was like he'd punch her in the face with like a cabbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And it was
Yeah.
like so surprising and really made me feel like that's what it must feel like to actually
Get hit.
It's just
Yeah.
like out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Somebody punches you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what was interesting, though, was that he was so sweet to her in the beginning, and then he changed, which is something that you hear a lot with, abuse type situations, is that once you're no longer the challenge, once you're no longer being
Once I got you on the hook.
then it's like, okay, now I'm going to show you my true colors. And he totally did that. But then they had a very love-hate relationship. They would have like extremely like passionate sex, and then he would beat the crap out of her, and then they go back to having crazy sex, and like they even were happy for a while there too. And it seemed like after the triple axel, was when the shit really hit the fan.
Because it seemed like she finally had some self-worth.
She was validated.
Yeah,
she was
she's
validated.
like, I don't need other people to make me feel good anymore.
Yeah.
I have this thing that makes me feel good.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And he couldn't
Or the
handle that.
adoration of the people watching me do this thing that makes me feel good.
It's the adoration of the people, I think.
I think that, and this was done to multiple people, including her mother and Jeff. I think this movie, and the whole movie is about humanizing her as well, but I feel like it's about, there's a lot of taking something or someone that's monstrous and making them sympathetic. Mm-hmm. And I, at times, felt, even though Jeff was horrible, there were times that I felt sympathy for him.
Absolutely.
There were times when I felt like he was pathetic.
Can you give me some examples? Because I feel zero sympathy for him.
I think it's the actor's performance. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't intellectually have sympathy for him. But when he, you know, even when he like is in the middle of dealing with the fallout of what happened with the incident, like you can see him falling apart and all the things that he thought he was going to be able to fix falling apart. And I couldn't help but have a little, like, I find him pathetic and sympathize with that, the patheticness of him as a person. Not so much like, oh, I hope things turn out okay for him. I'm just saying, like, they made it seem like all of these people were lonely and sad and trapped in their circumstances.
And, that's all they had, and they just did the best.
Yeah,
with what
all
they
he
knew
had
how to
was
do.
her. And again, I'm not saying I wanted them to be together.
Right.
Or that I found him to be a person that was likable overall. I'm just saying that, and with the mom too, I can't explain it. Like, I can't intellectually explain this feeling of, I wish life worked out better for these people. That was just a feeling I had. And maybe it was because the actors made them seem so human, but I think that's what people are like. Like, people aren't all bad or all good. Like, some people are more bad than good. But you would never marry a person if they were completely rotten to the core from go one, and you wouldn't stay with them if there wasn't something that reeled you back in.
I think it was sort of too this idea of fantasy with a lot of them, because Tonya had this fantasy of being loved. It sometimes I don't even think it was about the Olympics. You know, it was more the idea of being loved and people loving her. And so I feel like that's why she went to somebody like Jeff, because he did, in a weird, fucked up way, had a very big love
obsessed.
for her,
Yeah.
you know,
He was obsessed
and then
with her.
she wanted her mother to love her so much. She had this fantasy that she would be loved by her mother. And then you look at Jeff, he had this fantasy of this whole thing working out for him and him getting all kinds of money. If I can
give her what I want, if I can fix it. It didn't seem to be about the money. It seemed to be about getting her.
Yeah.
And if I can make everything work so that she gets what she wants, she'll see that she needs me.
Right.
Yeah,
and
right.
even with the Sean guy.
Sean, what a piece of work.
Oh, Sean.
I mean, talk about a great actor, number one. But number two, his
he was
idea of
great.
fantasy too. Like, he lived in a freaking fantasy world.
Oh my god! He was living in a whole different movie. That guy,
my
a movie
God.
with I think Nick Cage in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
Most definitely a movie with Nick
It was
Cage.
just
Yeah.
they all had these ideas of what they wanted that were so insurmountable that it all kind of ruined. Their fantasies became their nightmares, which put them into a puddle of just shit, you know.
I feel like the actor playing Sean really nailed down that mouth breather acting.
Yeah.
Like, he really, I don't know what school of mouth breathing acting he went to, but he just
He did a great
It's a
job
degree.
with
I
it.
loved his
nailed
voice. I mean, I hated his voice, but I'm just saying, I thought he did a great job.
I knew that guy in high school too. Definitely
Yeah,
went to high
right?
school with that
Oh
guy.
yeah,
went to high
it's
school
like
with that.
I specialize in terrorism.
Yeah,
and-
counterterrorism.
Yeah.
It's like, I've been hired
And he
by
actually
them, but
said
you
that.
haven't.
They
Yeah.
showed the
Yeah, I
video
saw that,
of
and
him
I was
being
like,
interviewed.
I feel like they were like, we have to show it to them, so
Yeah.
they know we did not
They
make
know
this
that
up.
this guy
But I
actually
love how
did
she's
this
like,
shit.
but you didn't.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
He's like,
But
but
I
I did.
did.
She's like, yeah, no, we checked.
you didn't.
You didn't.
Like,
And
and
you
he
didn't.
wouldn't. But the guy that plays the hard copy reporter. Bobby
Okay, what was going
Cannavale.
on with that guy's face? Like, why? Like, I'm sorry. That was the one thing in the movie that I was like, is it a spray tan? Is he wearing blackface? Like, what is going
an Italian
on?
actor that
He's
they
an
kind
Italian
of put
actor,
in brown
the
face,
brown-
like a bit to make him look a little bit more like
Yeah, that's Bobby
Cuban.
I forget. I can't pronounce his last
I-
name.
Cannavale, isn't it?
Yeah, he was
Cannavale.
on. Wasn't he on Will and Grace for a while?
No, he was on Ray Romano's show. What was it? Everybody Loves Raymond.
And wasn't he also in
Sex and
that
the City.
terrible?
He was Sex in the City.
Terrible show Vinyl on HBO. Am I the
I
only
never
one that
saw
watched
that.
that? Oy. Yeah, I think he was in that. But anyway, I just was like really bothered by his. I was like, I don't like this choice that they made. I don't
No.
like it.
Was
I
not
don't
into
know
it.
why. Like, I don't know who this person is supposed to be, but I feel like I'm not getting any. I'm distracted by your face.
The one thing he
and I
did
don't
say
like
that
it.
I liked was like nothing could have been executed by two bigger boobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like in a
And
whole
that was
thing
like such a
done
good
by
word
boobs.
to describe them because they were boobs. Like they were
Yeah.
so just whatever.
They were the dumbest
They were so
criminals.
dumb. They really
Every one of them.
They
Yeah.
moved
Those
their car
guys.
every 15 minutes to avoid
Shout-
They were in
suspicion.
the wrong location.
Shout out to
God.
that guy who played Derek. Also,
Yeah.
I mean, he like that moment was really tense. It
Yeah.
was super
Yeah.
tense. And again, they're humanizing someone who's a monster. They could have just sent the actor in there, had them walk to Nancy Kerrigan, maybe get lost, and then like hit her in the knee. They could have just done that. But instead, they had him really like. There's a moment where you're not even sure if he's even going to be
Yeah.
able to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was something actually almost like Coen Brothersy about that scene. to me,
Yes, you're
where he
right.
like runs and he's like trying to get the doors
Fun
open, but they're
fact,
chained up.
He, like, hits
The
it with
guy
his-
in real life broke the glass with his head. to
No
get out.
shit, really?
Real life. Yes, that actually happened.
That's like a caged fucking animal right
Yeah.
there. You
Yeah.
know, like that's a caged animal.
Wow,
He's like,
I didn't
what have
know
I
that.
done? I didn't
I
know
didn't.
that either.
Wow,
That's
that's
surprising.
crazy.
Man.
Hot facts. Welcome to Hot Facts. This is our brand new segment where Sarah gives us some exciting trivia about this month's film, which is I, Tonya. Sarah, lay it on us.
So it was directed by Craig Gillespie.
I'm embarrassed to say I did not know whether it was a woman or man that directed this, and
Yeah.
now I know.
Yep. Well,
All right.
I should have known it was probably a man.
he actually did a commercial featuring Nancy Kerrigan in '93. It was a
No way.
Campbell
Huh.
soup ad.
I think I
Wow.
remember that.
Yeah, he did that.
Holy
Okay.
shit.
Okay, more hot facts. Allison Janney.
Yes.
Yeah.
She seriously trained to be a figure skater
Really?
all through childhood and adolescence. She grew
Wow.
up having Olympic dreams.
Wow.
She ran into a sliding glass door when she was 17 and severed a tendon so badly that she
Oh my
almost
God.
died, and she didn't
Wow.
skate again.
That's a goddamn nightmare.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
You know,
Wow.
I was at a party once when I was in high school, and I was running away with a bottle of Diet Coke that somebody wanted, and I ran into a sliding glass door, but it didn't break. Like, I ran into
God.
it super hard, but it didn't break. So what I'm saying is I could have been Allison Janney,
You could
Yeah.
have been.
Yeah.
is what I'm saying.
That's insane.
That is fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, that really helped her dig into, like, the bitterness of the character she was playing. You know, like, if there was any, like, you know,
Yeah, like it should have been me kind of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kind of felt like, even though that wasn't implicitly what her mother was doing, it was like, you know.
Kind of was at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was, like, bitter when the success was happening without her. Anyway,
She also said that this was the hardest role she's had to play.
I bet. It's hard to
Yeah.
be a human being that isn't entirely human.
And
because
to
they're
like
so fucking
impersonate
awful.
someone too, and
Yeah.
not be able to have your own. Okay.
I mean, that's certainly how I feel with the challenge of having to be Jon Snow in our allergy parody in the sketch show.
Yep.
It's big shoes to fill,
That
you
makes
know?
sense.
More hot facts.
Okay.
Margot Robbie.
Yes.
She trained for 4 months with Nancy Kerrigan's choreographer.
I thought you were going to say Nancy Kerrigan. I'm like, that seems kind of wrong.
No, Nancy Kerrigan's choreographer, the person
Wow.
who choreographed all of her stuff.
Holy shit.
Sarah Kawahara.
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. She had a herniated disc in her neck the entire time this was being filmed.
Shut the
She
fuck
had to have
up.
an X-ray every week
Wow.
to make sure that she could still film. I'm crushing these hot facts, you guys.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, actors
Yeah.
are willing to. Maybe this is why I'm a mediocre actor. Like, I would be
I'm
like,
not willing to do
"Hey
those sorts of
guys,
things."
I have a fucked up neck, so I'm gonna need to take some time off
Yeah.
and get that sort." Can we do this take with me wearing a neck brace? Is that okay?
Is that okay? Am I okay with you?
She didn't use her real hair in the film. It was all wigs.
Really?
All wigs because she didn't want to damage her hair.
Yeah, I was gonna
nobody
say.
wants to do that to
And
her.
they didn't use mousse in the wigs. They used beer. Beer was the thing that got that crunchy look.
Ugh, gross.
So, ladies, you too can have the Tonya Harding. All you need is a
So-
can of Budweiser.
Ew.
Tonya Harding.
Hillary's like, that is not
I'm
the
just
proper use of
picturing the
beer.
smell. I'm like,
Do you
ugh.
think it was like shitty beer, or was it like craft beer?
I don't think it matters at the end of the day. Once the
Bud
heat
Light.
hits that, once you start smelling that for a while, oof.
Like, you get home, you're like, honey, not now. I got to get into the shower and wash the beer out of my hair immediately.
Yeah.
Okay. Tonya Harding saw the film and enjoyed it. She especially loved
bet.
the "suck my dick" line, and she said,
Yeah.
"I wish I would have said that." Instead, she
Oh.
said all the same things, but instead of "suck my dick," she said, "stay out of my face."
Oh,
But yeah, I was that did feel a little
Yeah.
anachronistic because I was like, I doubt someone in '94 would have said "suck my dick." Like,
Yeah. It didn't seem like,
yeah, that's true.
yeah. At least
Yeah,
not a woman.
it did
Yeah.
seem a little. I will say, yeah, that did seem a little weird.
and now a segment just for this film: Hot
Ooh.
Facts Fact Check.
Hot facts fact check. Oh, because this was based on a true story. I love it. Let's do
So
it.
here are the things that actually I'm not going to read. I mean, this looks
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a lot, but I'm going to read all of it. Yes, Tonya was actually assaulted by her half brother. Only it was worse in real life than it was in the film.
Oh God, I was worried
and
about
he
that.
it was prolonged, and he beat down a door to get to her. She ended up kicking in the balls and running away, and he was arrested later that night. He spent the next few years in jail.
Oh my God.
When he was released, he was killed by a hit and run.
Wow.
Shit, this
Yeah.
is just a pile of sad. But also, I guess maybe he didn't. At least he didn't assault anyone else.
Yeah.
Silver lining.
Yeah.
Yes, Jeff.
I'm just saying.
He threatened to kill himself and threatened her with a gun.
We didn't talk about that scene, but that scene
Yeah.
was intense
That was
as
a
fuck.
lot.
I mean, the
Yeah.
whole movie, I was thinking to myself, without even knowing that the scene was coming, I was like, fuck. You know, if they didn't bash in Nancy Kerrigan's knee, this story probably would have ended with him fucking killing her with a gun.
Exactly.
And the blood from on her face was not, the bullet didn't graze her face. It hit the pavement and set a piece of pavement up to her face.
Okay.
And he actually was pulled over by the cops. They both got out of the car. The cop confiscated his guns and let him drive her away.
That's fucked up.
yeah.
I don't want to get involved in the middle of a marital dispute.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not my job as a police officer and a keeper of the peace.
Her face is bleeding, but I'm sure that's normal.
Yeah. Yes, reporters had Tanya's car towed, so she would be forced to leave the house.
That seemed like it would check out.
Yeah.
Do your hot facts say anything about that guy's face?
Which guy's face?
That fucking guy's face from like
No.
Current Affair. Like, what was going on with the fucking makeup
They
on that
put
guy's
him
face?
in makeup to make him look like he was a different race. They really did.
I don't like it.
I know it. Nobody
This is
does.
2018.
I know.
Get your shit together.
Yeah.
No. Stop it. Just stop it. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Okay, so one thing that did not happen, Kerrigan and Harding did not get wasted together like they did in that hotel room. They did room together, shop together, eat together, watch TV together on the road. So they were actually friends.
So they were
Okay.
friends.
Yeah.
How do they know they didn't shotgun beers together, though?
Both of them didn't.
I guess you
know.
probably didn't
Yeah.
drink if you had to like get up and skate for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Maybe
I
they were on
wouldn't.
some uppers.
They may
That's
have
what
been.
I would have done if
And
I
the
were
rest
a
of the stuff
skater.
I
Sure.
talked about during the podcast, but
Cool.
that's my hot fact.
No, that was great. Hot facts. Cool. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Welcome to Plug It Up. This is the part of the show where we talk about all the good things that we're doing and our guests are doing. Jackie, what would you like to plug?
Thanks, Nicole.
You should have talked like that the whole time.
Yeah,
I should have. Yes. No. It's like my
you
sexy
sound like
voice.
you sound like Monroe from 80s Dating Video Remix.
Oh my God. Yes.
Jackie was an 80s Dating Video Remix.
Yeah. That's right. That was
The
hysterical.
suspenders.
So I guess for me, right now I've been doing a lot of photo shoots. So if y'all want to check out my Instagram page, it's jmcostello14. Been able to do some just really cool shots, some really cool concepts.
Yeah, they're great. They're gorgeous.
Got some new stuff coming out. Just kind of waiting for it, and then I've got some more stuff scheduled throughout the next few months. So it's kind of fun. While I'm not doing a ton of like acting things at the moment, it does allow me that ability to find my inner actor. Just
Yeah, definitely.
especially when you do a cool concept and there's kind of like a vision behind it. That's what I always kind of go into it with, is like, what's your vision? And then my thing is I love to put on some music, and the dancer in me kind of comes out. So
That's
I always
awesome.
like to put some kind of dance aspect to it. So
Nice.
it's kind of what's going on with
Yeah,
me.
your photo shoots always are just like amazing.
They're
Oh,
incredible.
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
so go check her out on Instagram.
Thank you.
See all the good things she's up to, and then when you are in a show, they'll know, because they'll
Yes.
see it on. They'll see your rehearsal. She always posts backstage stuff and
Yeah.
rehearsal pics and things
Hope
like
to
that.
do one soon. The JOB, the daily JOB.
It can be
keeps me
tough.
pretty busy.
It can be tough.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I love my job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's
That's
good.
good.
I really do. I truly do enjoy it. So,
Cool.
if there's any network engineers out there who specialize in multiple layer protocol, let me know.
We're looking for
Sounds
you.
fascinating.
We're looking for you. Multiple layer protocol guys.
Any BGP or OSPF people?
You know,
yes,
they
let me know.
are a huge share of our audience.
I can imagine.
It's a fact.
I can imagine.
It's a fact. They love this podcast. Okay, I would like to plug our next sketch show. So we just wrapped up our sketch show, Critical Crop Top Presents Feminine AF. At the time
it was
of this
a packed house, standing room only. I mean, the New
People
York
threw
Times was there.
flowers
People
at us.
Yeah, I mean, we could hardly get off the stage
there was
because
the
of the amount of
adoration
flowers.
was
Yeah.
intense. We don't know, because actually the show hasn't gone up yet. But at the time,
Don't tell them that, Nicole.
At
It
the
was
time-
a packed house.
at
You
the
have to
time
get
that
tickets
you
early
listen
to, the
to
next one.
this, it will be too late for you to see it, unfortunately. But you can see our show that's coming up after that. Hang on, let me get the dates out right here. What?
Yeah.
What
are the dates?
What are the dates? So we don't have any information on who's in it or what it's called yet, but it will be the next Critical Crop Top Live sketch show will be Friday, May 11th, Sunday, May 13th, which is Mother's Day. So bring your mom. That's Mother's Day,
Yeah.
right? Or is it the next
That's
week?
a great thing to bring mom to.
Yeah. My
Just
mom
from
always
some
comes.
awkward-
My mom would go.
social
She kinda lives
justice
in a different
comedy.
state, but, you know.
It's either the 20th or I should know. I'm a
It's one of
mom.
those
It's
two.
one of those. So Friday, May 18th and Sunday, May 20th at the Highland Inn Ballroom and Lounge.
Which is a great venue, by the way.
It's super fun. They've been great to us. We love doing shows there. And the tickets will be on sale on our website, criticalcroptop.com/tickets. So be sure you're following us on all the things. Oh, that's another thing to plug, the social media accounts.
Yeah.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
Be sure you're following us on all the things for Critical Crop Top if you want to know what we're doing with our shows, our live shows and stuff at Critical Crop Top on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Sarah.
So
That was so sexy.
that was
my.
So Nicole wrote and directed this little mini series or web series. I'm sorry.
Let's call it a mini series. Then I can be eligible for an Emmy.
There you go.
It's called Vera's Workplace Sensitivity Training Series.
Oh my God, Vera's here among us right now.
Yes. And I am in it. I am Vera, and Vera is basically a 1940s woman who time travels to the present day and gives terrible workplace advice to women and a few men.
A few men. A few good men.
Yeah.
Yep.
Andy Fleming's in it. Patrick
Yes.
Morgan. Melissa
Jasmine
Love,
Waters.
Jasmine Waters. Christy Wozniak. Julie
Aria
Jones-Ivy.
Mara.
So check it out. Where can they find
Very
that?
cool.
They can find it on criticalcroptop.com/videos.
Where you can actually see all of our videos now. We've got a page on our site with all the videos, including 80s Dating Video Remix, which Jackie is in. So go check that out. And
it.
of course, you can also subscribe to us on Vimeo or Funny or Die or YouTube.
Funny.
Which is a great segue into what I'm plugging. Thank you guys so much for setting me up to that.
You're welcome.
We have a brand new network content provider.
It's a content provider. I would say like a content platform.
Yeah,
that
so
is
we have a brand new place where you can watch all our videos.
Georgia-based content provider.
Yes, it's called Thea. That's THEA, and it's an app for your phone, a website for your computer, and you can watch a whole bunch of Atlanta-based
and a place for your soul to find what it needs.
My soul needs one.
Exactly. Find it. Find your soul there, as well as a whole bunch of Atlanta artists and filmmakers and musicians and other cool people,
including us.
We're on there now. Go look it up.
So you can see our videos there. Critical Crop Top. There's a channel, and check it out. Check out what we've got there.
And then we also have some new social media channels for the Feminine Mistake Podcast.
That's right. Feminine Mistake Podcast has its own social media now.
Yes. So you can find us on Twitter at FemMistakePod and on Instagram at Feminine Mistake Pod. So
and on the Facebooks.
And Facebook at Feminine Mistake Pod as well. We already, not to toot my own horn or anything, but we already have over 100 followers on Instagram.
Why would you toot your horn?
Because I did it, Sarah. I posted all the things and wrote all the words that went with the things.
So you can go check out our new graphics.
Exactly. Go check out our new graphics.
Which are still new even though it's been a month.
Yeah. They're still new.
They'll be new for 2 more years until we do another reboot.
We do it again. Until we read it again. We're only watching movies from 1935 to 1937.
Ooh. There's a huge audience for that.
Reboot. Super niche.
Only French.
Only in French.
Only Joan Crawford films. It's called the Joan Crawford Mistake Podcast.
There is actually a Willem Dafoe podcast that I recently found, and
whoa,
I can't remember the name of the podcast.
Please tell me they are watching Streets of Fire.
They've watched all his movies, but I believe their Instagram is as Defriender Dafoe.
Nice,
and
that's
brilliant.
The whole reason to have a podcast about William Dafoe.
It made me really happy.
I love William Dafoe.
The only actor I would do a podcast for would be Shah Rukh Khan. He's been in over 80 something Bollywood films. I love him.
So look out for Sarah's podcast coming soon
about Bollywood films.
The Shah Rukh Khan mistake.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's episode of the Feminine Mistake Podcast. Please join us next week when we continue our deep dive of I, Tonya with our special guest, Jackie Costello.
I'm Nicole Finari.
And I'm Stacey Moore.
And we're the hosts of Movies That Matter, the podcast about recent films going above and beyond the call of box office returns to boldly explore a social issue affecting people's lives.
Nothing's off limits. From art house films to action blockbusters to animated kids movies, every film has something to say, whether we like it or not.
Check out Movies That Matter on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts, because movies matter.
And so do you.